Sleeping Beauty, based on a fairy tale by the Brothers Grimm. Once upon a time, there were a king and a queen who wished for nothing as much as a child. Then one day, when the queen was taking a bath, a frog hopped out of the water, and it said to her, "You shall give birth to a daughter before this year is over." The frog's words came true. The royal couple was overjoyed and ordered a feast to be held. When the king realized that they only had 12 golden plates, he decided to invite just 12 of the 13 fairy godmothers of the realm to give the child their blessing. The day of the feast came, and with it the 12 fairy godmothers, who blessed the princess with beauty and grace, a kind heart, and many other things. When the 11th fairy godmother was done, the 13th uninvited fairy suddenly stormed in. "In her 15th year, the princess shall prick herself with a spindle and fall down dead," she cried, and disappeared from the room without another word. Everyone was deeply shocked. Then the 12th fairy came forward and said, "I may not be able to undo the curse, but I can soften it. She shall not die, but instead she will fall into a deep slumber for 100 years. The king immediately ordered the burning of all spinning wheels in the country. Meanwhile, the girl grew into a beautiful and good young woman, with all the gifts the fairy godmothers had bestowed upon her. On the morning of her 15th birthday, the princess explored the halls of the castle when she came upon a staircase leading up to a tower. On the top of the stairs was a door she had never seen before. Now, curious, she knocked and entered. In the small room, an old woman sat and spun flax. "What is that you are doing, Gammer?" the princess inquired. "I'm spinning," the old crone answered. The princess wanted to try too, but as soon as she reached for the spindle, it pricked her finger and a red drop of blood welled up. Immediately, the princess fell into a deep slumber. The news spread like wildfire, first through the castle and then the whole country. When the king and the guards heard of the misfortune, they came running, but were powerless in the face of the curse. The prophecy had come true. The guards carried the beautiful princess to her chamber high in the western tower, where the king bedded her on her favorite pink cushion. Even a small bird flew along to the princess's chamber, all the while singing pretty songs and wishing her beautiful dreams. Slowly, a great weariness spread throughout the castle, and the curse began to affect every creature living in it. The horses in the stables, the guards at the entrance and in the halls, the cook who was about to cuff a scullion's ears, and even the king and queen fell asleep. Everyone sank into a slumber where they stood or sat. Even the small dog was overcome by tiredness before he could dig a hole for his bone. Around the castle, a thorny hedge of roses began to grow, and it grew bigger with every year until even the roof of the highest tower was hidden from view. The story about Sleeping Beauty, however, was spread far and wide. Just when the 100 years had passed, a young prince was out for a ride in the countryside and asked a peasant about the hedge of roses. "Oh, my lord," said the peasant, "this there is the hedge behind which Sleeping Beauty is caught in 100 years' long sleep. But to this day, all the princes who tried to scale the hedge and rescue the princess have failed." The prince decided to give it a try nonetheless. Imagine his surprise when an opening in the hedge appeared of its own accord as soon as he stepped close. He found the sleeping people and animals in the court, and then he entered the castle itself, only to find the whole royal household also in a deep slumber. He moved from room to room until he finally stood in front of the princess's chamber door in the western tower. As he opened it, his eyes fell upon Sleeping Beauty. He stepped up to the bed, and when he kissed the princess, she opened her eyes. As soon as the princess came awake, so did the rest of the castle. The horses neighed in the stable, the chickens clucked in the court, and the guards at the doors and inside the castle sprang to attention. The king and queen rubbed their eyes in confusion, and in the kitchen the scullion received the cuffing he had earned 100 years ago. Soon a large wedding was held, and all the people of the realm were invited to celebrate the union between Sleeping Beauty and her prince. Everyone danced until late into the night, and the highlight was a great fireworks at midnight under a crescent-shaped moon. Sleeping Beauty and the prince stood on the castle's great balcony and waved to the people, and the people cheered. From that day on, they lived happily ever after. The end.